Good afternoon, friends. Rusty back here. CFLW, the show for this Friday, October the 3rd. I hope you are doing well. Man, oh man, so much to talk about in this. We are going to have some impactful weather. We had it yesterday. We're going to have it again today. We're going to have it over the weekend. We'll talk about the potential for some heavy, significant rain, some flooding in some areas, some coastal issues that we're going to see, some very breezy conditions, and the potential for even tropical development very close to home in the coming days as well. So let's get started. Great to see you guys. As always, CFLW is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Friends, they cover the entire state. You get storm damage of any kind, wind, hail, hurricane. They'll walk you through the insurance claim process. Make sure you go to leanonmelaw.com if you guys would like more information. How's everyone doing on this Friday? Hi, Nancy. Good afternoon to you. 83 degrees in Wedgefield, little 71% humidity, some fast-moving showers. I hear you. Hey, Chessie, how are you as well? Spring Hill with a mix of sun and clouds, breezy northeast winds. No rain so far in Spring Hill, but there'll be an opportunity across the entire state for the next several days. Hi, Blue Goose. Hope you're doing well, my friend. It is 82 degrees in St. Augustine, 65% humidity. Yep, we got that northeast fetch indeed, just that brisk east wind, and certainly the opportunity for some coastal issues as well. Hi, Diane. How are you? Intercession City is in the house, breezy with a few clouds. Fiona, good to see you as well. Mom is in north of UK. Yes, they are actually getting, not yet, Fiona. That's actually what's been left over from Gabrielle. And then we'll see if down the road what's left over of Umberto and Imelda, which is, really still kind of in the north central Atlantic, could bring another gale, fresh winds to that area as well. But very active weather for portions of Europe with some of the storms that we've seen in the Atlantic, no doubt about it. Okay, hey, Neek, how are you as well? Hope everyone's doing great. All right, so let's get into this forecast because there's a ton to talk about here. Let me just show you the overall broad situation. So we've had these brisk easterly winds that have been moving on shore the last several days. Look how fast the showers are moving across the area. This is a loop over the last 6 hours. I'm just going to bring this up to like the last couple of hours here as well. So let me bring back on the Viz satellite imagery here if I do this. All right, there we go. So there's a little bit closer of a time frame and loop here, not just the last 6 hours, just the last 3. Those are going to be your temperatures, and then these are going to be your wind gusts, right? So you look along all of Central Florida, especially along the coastline, but even towards the West Coast. So, East Coast right now, we're getting wind gusts that are easily over 30 miles an hour from time to time as the brisk showers continue to move in. Inland, it's like 15 to 25, but we'll get some higher gusts from time to time. And even in our western areas, we're still getting some fast-moving showers here. Again, it'll pick up the wind, 25, even 30 miles an hour across I-75, and everything is just racing in. And the main reason why is we are beginning to see a little bit of a development of a low-level center here near New Providence, which is Nassau, and over the Eleuthera Islands. If you guys see that shower and thunderstorm there, some of the lightning, again, there's a little bit of a twist here. And this is where the Hurricane Center has actually put on a weak 10% chance of tropical development. So this is your yellow potential tropical development area from the Hurricane Center. Now look, appreciably, I don't expect this to develop in the short term as this kind of drifts north and west. But you want to talk about continuing to ride some very gusty conditions, absolutely horrendous weather along the coastline, and the opportunity for some significant rainfall for the next several days. That is what is in store for us here in Central Florida. And potentially down the road, even if this doesn't develop, some of the models are trying to pick up on another area of low pressure developing about mid next week in the same spot, which could be tropical in nature as well. The bottom line is this is a very active forecast in the coming days. And again, right now, we're dealing with the fast-moving showers across the area. Let me show you guys that live here with our radar. By the way, again, that yellow area is going to pop up a lot. Let me do this real quick here. There we go. Let's get rid of the satellite. So this is the live radar out of Melbourne, and you can really see how spotty the rain is, but it's covering everywhere. It's going to be a little bit more concentrated and heavier along our east coast from St. Johns County, Flagler, Volusia, Brevard, Indian River County, but in the Orlando metro area, we've had some of the showers already spiral in. And again, everything for the most part is going to have an east to west component to its movement. There's going to be maybe a little bit of kind of an east northeast to west southwest, but we're all basically driving these showers from the East Coast towards the West Coast as well. So what do you say we take a look at our cameras here at CFLW to give you guys an idea of what's happening live outside right now. This is going to be a live look to Winter Garden on the west side of Orange County. We're looking off towards the west. We've already had a couple of showers move through Orange County in this area, but this is a very common sight, my friends. Again, it's not an all-day rain, even along the coast, but especially inland, the rain is going to be very spotty in nature. When it comes through, those gusts are going to kick up. It's going to be gray and overcast, and that wind is going to be whipping around the showers. Good, quick, heavy tropical downpours, but it's in and out of one location in probably 10 or 15 minutes in most instances, outside of the immediate East Coast where it'll be a little bit more prominent there. On over to Winter Park, the Lean Log Camp. Again, same situation. We've already had a couple of showers near Winter Park for today, but right now we've dried out. When that happens, you get some sunshine out there. It heats things up. The humidity's up a little bit. I mean, the winds are making it feel pretty good outside, but from time to time when the wind relaxes, it's a little bit steamy out there. Again, I know it's early October, but we're pulling in some tropical moisture from the Bahamas, and so the humidity values are up a little bit for today. Live look outside to Conway. There's your fresh wind, and this is going to be pretty consistent 15 to 25 mile an hour winds, even inland with some higher gusts. We are looking back towards the East Coast, so you can see some of that low-level moisture across the horizon that will continue to spin in a couple of showers. Now, this point in time, there's no lightning. I can't rule out later today we might not have an isolated, clap of thunder and some lightning, but these are mainly just some tropical downpours in most spots. And, it's kind of a murky sky at the attractions, but still not bad in this area. But just overall, this is an impactful weekend. So I'm going to probably show this graphic several times today, but this is what I'm going to be talking about during this live stream, okay? So impacts that are expected, I'll break this down very clearly. First of all, we could get some localized flooding each and every day. We've already had some flood advisories the last couple of days. We've had some coastal flood warnings. It's going to be a problem, the amount of rain that we're going to get in some spots. Along the coast, I think we're going to average around 3 to 5 inches of rain between now and Sunday night. That's significant in a lot of spots, but even locally higher amounts are not out of the question. Inland, it will be a little bit lighter, but it's still a pretty wet forecast, even towards the West Coast. Generally, your gradient for the rain is going to be highest along the East Coast, a little bit drier along the West Coast, but there'll still be some showers and more than likely even a better chance for a few thunderstorms along the West Coast of the state, 1 to 3 inches inland for winds. Easily 15 to 25 mile an hour winds with some 30 plus mile an hour gusts, again, especially along the coast. And then you get into the actual coastal conditions. The seas near shore running 8 to 10 feet over the weekend. That is significant wave heights, then 10 to 12 feet offshore. Small craft should remain in port. Anyone who is, not an experienced boater shouldn't be dealing with this kind of chop that's going to be out there and some really nasty swells as well. Then right along the coast, we're going to have some 5 to 8 foot breakers right on the beaches. That's going to lead to some moderate beach and dune erosion. And the other issue is we are going to have higher than normal tide cycles. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of areas along the coast that could have 1 to 2 foot above normal tide cycles. Obviously, that is going to have the opportunity to bring some inundation. We could have a little bit in the way of some localized flooding along the coast when you have a 2 foot above normal tide cycle. Docks are going to be, overrun with water, and really just area dependent as to where that water channels. But if you do live along the East Coast and you have issues when the tide cycles go about 1 to 2 feet above normal, that is an opportunity for the weekend ahead. All right, let me jump back over to the computer and I'll jump back into the chat as well. Hey, Adam, how you doing? Hi, Amy. Hope you're doing well. Good to see everyone. Fall arriving with tropical showers. Yeah, it's again, false fall here in Central Florida. There's no doubt about it. And again, it's just going to stay very, very active. Now, let's talk about some of the impacts that I already mentioned. This is going to be your excessive rainfall risk for today. All right. And right now we fall under this green area. And I thought earlier today they even had an orange for southern Brevard County, but they might have updated that to take it out. But the bottom line is this green that you see on the map, which as you would expect when we're talking about the rain for mainly I-95. But again, it's not just the coast. I mean, we've got basically most of Volusia County, most of Seminole Seminole County, the eastern half of Orange County, the eastern third of Osceola County, and then all of Brevard and Indian River County, all the way down to the Miami area and Homestead, under a low chance to exceed your flash flood criteria, right? What this means is that there's a 5 to 10% chance that we'll have flash flooding occurring somewhere in this area. So it's not out of the question. Now, let me go over here, and this is always fun. I always have to try and figure out where this product is. There it is. All right. So this is going to be for tomorrow. Okay. This is when we have our orange. So this is your Saturday risk of flash flooding, basically excessive rainfall. Now we're into this orange, and it might be a little bit hard to see, but if you see that ring, it's 10 to 15%. Now from Daytona Beach and New Smyrna and Oak Hill, all of Brevard County, the eastern third of Seminole, the eastern third of Orange County, a sliver of Osceola County, and most of Indian River County here, you're now under a 10 to 15% of exceeding your flash flood criteria for your Saturday. So expecting probably even more steady, consistent rain for tomorrow as that low slowly creeps up north and west and gets a little bit closer to the area and is just pulling in all of that tropical moisture. And obviously I'm going to show you guys all the models and everything to be associated with this. And then for Sunday, they've kept it at a green as of now, but they've extended it up to the north. We would expect that as this low, which by the way, honestly, the models aren't really moving it very much over the next 48 hours, but as it probably spreads more moisture north, the opportunity to see heavier rains extend north into South Georgia is likely to happen. I think that's probably a pretty good forecast there for Sunday. And then Monday right now, it's about the same scenario. So you get the idea that there are portions of our coastline for the next 4 days that are going to be under potential flash flood criteria. Likely not to happen every day, obviously. May not even happen any of the days, but 1 or 2 days to even have the chance to get flash flooding. And again, this is not just a flood advisory where they're like, hey, look, we've had 1 to 2 inches of rain. We could get an additional couple flooding as a possibility. Flash flood warnings mean flash flooding is occurring or it's imminent to occur. So, we got to take this very seriously, especially if you live in low-lying areas and along the immediate coastline as well. I've been looking at local storm reports. I don't think we've had anything as of yet. And again, when I bring on my different products, the tropical layer is baked in, so you'll see that yellow area. That's just that 10% tropical development chance. So whenever you see that pop up. Brevard's been a rain man all summer. Yeah. It's funny because I posted this in my Facebook page as well, and some of the folks there was like, oh man, we could really use this rain. And I'm like, absolutely, we could use this rain. The problem is that are we going to get too much in too short of amount of time as well? I mean, that's going to be the issue for us here. But right now, you can clearly see that more showers are lining up along the coast, and they'll be moving inland towards the southern sides of Volusia County. Again, more concentrated here, Brevard County as well, towards the Cape. Best chances for heaviest rain there, but notice how spotty all of this is, at this point in time. Now, concentration of rain overall might pick up a little bit later today or tomorrow as well. And when I go back over to, again, this visible satellite imagery here, let's take off this area. Let's loop this up. This is what we're talking about here. Let me show you guys kind of the overall setup. Fronts, winds, areas of low and high pressure. So we have this developing low along this trough line, right? There's a lot of there's a lot of upper level shear. It's one reason why the Hurricane Center doesn't think that this is going to, develop imminently. But you can clearly see a defined low center. There's some drier air out west. All the convection with it is north and east, but we do have a center trying to develop. This is what it looks like on infrared satellite imagery. Actually, let's see here. Take this off, bring this on. So this is what it looks like on infrared satellite imagery. Again, nothing west of the center. And then this is water vapor imagery at the upper level. So there's a little bit drier air at the upper levels. And you can also see, do you see how quickly this is developing and racing off to the east at some of the brisk winds with the shear of the upper levels? The arrows on your screen are your low level winds. So we're kind of looking at different layers of the atmosphere at the same point in time. This is mid levels, right? much more moisture. There's still some drier air trying to suck into the west side of the storm. And at the lower levels, again, nice blow of storms here, but there's decent moisture content. Again, I don't see this imminently trying to do anything, but sitting over the Bahamas the next couple of days, could it potentially develop as it drifts north? Yes. What's the ultimate impacts going to likely be for our area? A wet, sloppy system that continues to provide us conditions that will have impacts for the coming days. Again, these are your temperatures at this point in time. Here's your wind gusts. Again, just to bring this back on. So let me bring back on the visible satellite image here because it's a cool presentation. But everything that we're going to have wind-wise, at least through Monday morning, is going to be out of the east. So East Coast, we're worried about the fresh winds and piling up some water. And eventually, as this low tracks up north and west, our winds are going to be turning back out of the south. All right, so let's see here. Let me talk about the actual things that are into play right now. So I'm going to bring up the advisories. And again, that's your 10% ring from the Hurricane Center. Let's see, let's drop that off. All right, so this is not going to show everything. You're going to get the flood warning here. That's going to be for the St. Johns River. You're going to get a coastal flood advisory here. And again, this does include St. John's, by the way, for the St. Johns River Basin. So you got a coastal flood advisory until 5 a.m. on Monday, right? Numerous roads may be closed. Low-lying property, including homes, businesses, some critical infrastructure will be inundated. Some shoreline erosion will occur. And again, this is for the whole St. Johns River Basin, right? Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, that kind of tells the story. So you have your coastal flood advisory. You have your coastal flood warnings. Let me bring this over a little bit more, and then I'll bring this just so you guys can see it as well, right? So again, the entire St. Johns River Basin, same situation. You got an advisory, you've got a warning that goes until 5 a.m. on Monday, all right? You're gonna have all kinds of beach hazard statements as well. So if I go to Brevard County, my system picks up on the rip current statement. It's like it picks up what it assumes is the highest priority, and I might be able to change this, but it's obviously not just the rip current statement. I want you to look at all of the different coastal advisories, statements, watches, and from time to time warnings that the coast is going to have. So again, for this area, you've got Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, the mainland of Brevard, the Barrier Islands, the southern mainland and the southern Barrier Islands of Brevard County, a coastal flood advisory, which is in effect until Sunday at 11 p.m. So about the same time frame, Sunday at 11 p.m. Bottom line is, from now into the weekend, we're going to have issues. Again, large breaking waves, 5 to 9 feet, high rip current risk, dangerous rip currents, some flooding of low-lying lots, parks, roadways may occur near the shoreline. Only isolated road closures are expected. Dangerous swimming and surfing conditions and localized beach erosion. Rip currents can sweep away even the best swimmers. Onshore winds at above normal tides will combine to generate flooding of low-lying areas along the shoreline. Do not drive around barriers and take the necessary precautions to protect flood-prone property. This is a situation, like, again, I want to make sure I'm imparting the fact that for the weekend ahead, the impacts along the coast could be significant in a couple of spots when you're pushing in the amount of water that we could end up seeing here. High surf will affect the beaches and the advisory areas, producing localized erosion, dangerous swimming conditions. Rip currents, we've already talked about that. Entering the surf is discouraged. I hope they just close down some of the beaches. I mean, I hope they double red flag it and call it a day, but we'll see. So that was the coastal flood advisory, I believe, right? Or was that the high surf? Then you got your risk current statement. You got the flood watch, right? So now we're into a flood watch situation through Sunday morning, excessive rainfall, the persistent onshore winds, and just, you know, and they just repeat themselves depending on the location that we're talking about. If I go up to Volusia County, now the flood warning should still just be for the St. Johns River. It is, okay? But we've got, you know, again, other issues here. You got the high surf advisory, 4 to 9 foot breakers, and that's for, again, Volusia County, right? Some flooding of low-lying lots, park and roadways. Again, you know, the Weather Service office in Melbourne is issuing all of these. They might change the numbers slightly, but my thought is that the messaging up and down the East Coast that they service is going to be about the same, right? So from, Volusia County south, more than likely, it's going to be about the same situation. Flagler County as well. Again, onshore winds, the high surf, the rips, all of that, not fantastic stuff. Here's Flagler County. Again, coastal flood advisory, 6 to 8 foot waves, minor coastal flooding around times of high tide. Check in with the high tide cycles. I believe they are somewhere between the 4 and 7 a.m. time frame, and then every 6 hours thereafter as well. Blue Goose says, my tag gauge at Volano Beach boat ramp, there's a camera for that. Interesting, okay. Keep us updated for sure. But there's problems, and this is for Duval, Flagler, Northeast Coastal St. Johns, Southeast Coastal St. Johns. And again, this goes all the way until this one. The coastal flood advisory only goes, till today, but this is going to be reissued. And then the coastal flood warning goes until Monday morning. Again, all different things. So you have a flood advisory, but then there's a flood warning as well. So they're just kind of layering these, if you will. Flood advisories on top of flood warnings, on top of high surf advisories, on top of rip current statements, and Bob's your uncle. Gonna be a problem. All right. If you have any questions about these potential impacts, let me know. I'm gonna get into the models now, and then I've got some forecasts for you guys as well. So let me we'll start off with the HRRR model. Couple of products to show you with this. Start to loop this up. Bring on our model timeline. All right. So this is what it looks like through Sunday morning. It's about the same scenario that we've had. Again, the HRRR model has this broad area just kind of spinning and not really doing much in the northern Bahamas through Sunday morning, as far as trying to consolidate, as trying to really become a true tropical system. But the problem is it's such a broad disturbance, and there's this boundary that's in play as well, that it's just throwing all of this tropical moisture right over our area with these brisk onshore winds that are just going to continue, right? It's all going to be an easterly fetch. Now, at the end of Sunday, we'll likely start to see the winds turn a little bit more southeast. And then eventually by Monday, even be a little bit more south and southwest. That will keep spilling in a lot of moisture with southerly winds. It'll also probably crank up the temperatures and the humidity a bit as well. So if you get a little sunshine on Monday, it's not going to really feel pleasant. But we'll continue to just see these solid showers being spun in. Of course, with an area of low pressure, you're going to have counterclockwise winds. So everything on the north side of this is going to be spiraling in from east to west. We take a look at the winds associated with this, and we'll look at the rainfall totals coming up as well. All right, so this is going to be the winds. Hey, Gaming with Jamie, how you doing? Arcadia is in the house. Someone was spamming, huh? Well, they got to be the number 3 contributor, so you guys got to figure that one out. All right. So these are going to be your onshore winds. Look at how strong these are. First of all, and I'll query these, but the purples to the pinks get you 20, 25, even 30 mile an hour sustained winds, not gusts. And then the whites you start to get to 40, okay? And I could throw on the arrows, but I think you guys will all realize that what I can do is go over here and just put up the text, right? So let me loop this up here. These numbers should pop back on here after that full loop. So the numbers are just basically grid points as well. All right. Looks like that grid isn't fully coming in. By the way, nice little spin there with a void, and you know, could that be a little mid-level low trying to wrap up right there? And it's not out of the question. But let's look at these numbers, guys. All right, come on, let me loop you up. All right, perfect. All right, so let's see. You know, this is tomorrow morning. Just what's the potential here? And I want to be clear, these aren't gusts. So with some of the showers that are likely to move in tomorrow, which I expect to be a wetter day compared to today, we're going to have some sustained winds of 35 miles an hour. I mean, we're going to have basically tropical depression winds spinning on shore, right? Sustained winds right here, guys, coming in. This is why we're piling up all of this water. Now, in general, more than likely the winds will be 15 to 25 sustained with higher gusts. But as the showers spin in, they're going to pick up well over 30 and probably some gusts even higher than that. So some exceptional wind is likely to come out of the scenario for tomorrow. And again, up and down the coast tomorrow afternoon, right? Up and down the coast, you've just got this solid 20+ mile an hour wind. Just doesn't really matter where you are. And all that just kind of spinning in. And then even fresher potential winds early on Sunday morning. So here's Sunday. This is as far as the model takes you, but you get the idea that staying just offshore will continue to be winds. I mean, look at this wind here towards Merritt Island on Sunday morning. Again, sustained. Gust time. Let's bring those up. Yeah, that's wind gusts. It's the same color table. Most of the time it's a different color table on most of the models. Oh, you know what? I know what it is. It is a different color table. I was on vectors. Let's see here. Wind gusts. I should loop up now. Waiting for you. No? Not interested, huh? Oh, all right, well, let's try this. So many things to do in the high scene. Now, by the way, I want to be clear. I loaded all of these models up before I came on. And then sometimes they want to cooperate and sometimes they don't. For some reason, this one doesn't want to show you the wind gust. I might be able to single frame it. Yeah. We'll just go with a single frame instead. So, and it doesn't really matter which time frame I pick. You know, I can pick, you know, here's this afternoon, your wind gusts are 20 to 30. Tomorrow afternoon, again, you look at these greens, 20, 30. We just want to see these reds. We don't want to get into these 40 mile an hour wind gusts, but you want to talk about a persistent wind. And then Sunday morning, and again, this is the issue, right? This is Sunday morning, and you actually even have stronger winds. Look at these wind gusts Sunday morning. I mean, I don't know if this is going to verify, but this HER model, which is, you know, a very localized, very high resolution model, Sunday morning wants to bring 40+ mile an hour wind gusts or near that along the coast. Running up to Daytona Beach. Maybe a little bit quieter here, but think about pushing that kind of wind over the next 48 hours across our area. That's why the inundation of water along the coast could be extensive. Precip wise, this should be through Sunday morning. So again, this is the HER model. I think it's going to be extremely scattered. We're going to get localized heavier rain. It just really depends on where it wants to fall. Again, the HER model, I think, might be underdoing it a little bit, but when you have these fast moving showers, you can't rule out a couple of spots only getting a few inches of rain and then a couple of areas just getting more. But you can clearly see that the gradient is east to west across the state the entire weekend ahead through Sunday morning. I want to be clear, this is just through Sunday morning. This isn't even bringing in the additional showers later in the day on Sunday. So, really it's only about what, like the next 36 hours or so, give or take, right? 36, 48 hours. So extremely variable, but still some significant rain here. And the more persistent thing is going to be the winds. I also want to show you guys the Weather Research and Forecast Office model. It's a very good local model as well, mesoscale model, especially for tropical activity. So let me bring that up for you. Loop that up, and then we'll take a look at some of the other rainfall totals from the models. Now, Fiona's here. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can just block them. It's fine. I can... I can put them in timeout if nothing else, and then we can deal with it later. I'm not, it is what it is. I appreciate you doing that, Fiona. I appreciate you doing it, Farah. We don't get a lot of those kinds of people, but from time to time you do. All right, so again, it's the Weather Research and Forecast model. It did really well with the Melda. Again, it's a high resolution North American model, as you guys can see. By the way, could there be some broad spin in the Gulf as well? It's possible. This is just an area of very churned up conditions for the week ahead. But generally speaking, you can kind of see, just like the HER model did, it really just doesn't do much with this low, kind of spins it and even takes it a little bit farther east. Now, the broader overall disturbance might be trying to push, especially the mid-level low, trying to be pushing inland north and west, but at the lower levels, maybe we keep it offshore just a little bit. And it is kind of interesting what it's trying to do here as well. See if that plays out. Again, the Hurricane Center has put on this broad yellow area, but there's not a lot to pick up on as far as anything that's really going to be trying to ultimately wrap up in the next 48 to 72 hours. Potentially down the road it could, but same situation here with the WRF model. Your onshore winds continue, the brisk showers just racing across the area right on through the end of the weekend and even into early next week. Now let me show you guys the GFS. So let's go here. By the way, GFS wind gusts look like this. Again, this is just, let's go out to, let's see here, let me do this actually, GFS. Let's see, we haven't looked at a lot of Sunday afternoon yet. So Sunday afternoon, wind gusts into the evening. Get just really solid, right? It's like the entire coast is just in store for upper 20s to lower 30s and maybe even a little bit higher than that from time to time. And even into Monday afternoon. Again, we should start to see this system lift north. So it's going to try and dry things out and calm things down in the southern part of the state on Monday. But we're still going to be, especially for the northern half of our area, into the brisk winds. The areas in green, at least over 20-mile-an-hour gusts, and beginning to abate a little bit in our southern areas. I'm hoping that that's the trend. But you've got all the way through Monday afternoon to deal with this wet, windy conditions across the area. So here's what it looks like reflectivity wise on the GFS model. I'm going to take this out a little bit farther in time, by the way. I'm going to go out to next Wednesday. If my math can be right, this is going to be the 8th. Loop that up so you guys can get a little bit broader perspective time-wise of what might be happening here. Blue goose, I've had so many mushrooms in my yard this year, and it's not like I've had a ton of rain. I probably had been above the normal amount of rain in Central Florida, but man, the mushrooms have been going crazy. Again, I've been so kind of inundated with making sure that you guys are aware of what I'm doing. If you guys wouldn't mind doing me a favor, hitting that like button for me. You haven't subscribed to CFLW, you want these live updates. Of course, we go live Monday and Friday at 1 o'clock for CFLW The Show. Obviously, this is kind of a hybrid live stream because we really have some impactful weather over the next couple days. And then anytime there is impactful storms across the area, hurricanes, any tropical systems, any daily storms of any impact, I'll be on live for you guys. This does become a recorded video. You can always watch this at your leisure under the live tab of CFLW as well. So again, this is just taking us through the early part of the week, and I do expect it to begin to dry up a bit, but overall, especially through Monday and early Tuesday, still a ton of moisture here to go over the area with the winds, which will finally relax. Now, again, do we have a true tropical system even developing on the GFS all the way through next Wednesday? No, right? So that likelihood is pretty low, at least at this point in time. But overall, I do expect the tropics to be very active in the next couple of weeks. And that could certainly include, just like Imelda did, the opportunity for something to try and develop close to home. That could be the Western Atlantic Basin, that could be the Gulf, that could be the Northwest Caribbean. There are a lot of different areas that the models are picking up on beginning mid to late next week that will have to, draw my attention. I'm not concerned about much over, again, the weekend or early next week outside of the localized rain we're going to get, but tropically, generally no. But towards the end of next week and then the week after, I think we're going to be, during these live shows, talking a lot more about some potential tropical development, back into the forecast as well. All right, so that's what it looks like on the GFS model. And let's take a look at their rainfall totals here as well. So I'm just going to actually click this button. It'll be a little bit easier for me. So here's the GFS. And this takes us through basically the wee hours of Wednesday morning. This is a little bit longer in nature, but I think that this is very spot on. So here is the amount of rain that the GFS has. And remember, on my graphic, I said 3 to 5 with locally higher amounts. And I think along the East Coast, we're going to probably get that kind of scenario. 3, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain between now and early Wednesday, but the majority of that falling by Monday afternoon. Could still see a few showers pick up on Tuesday, but a lot of this is going to be falling in the next 72 hours or so. Then it's kind of like the next category inland. You're going to have probably 2 to 4 for a lot of inland Volusia County, a lot of Seminole County, the central and the eastern sides of Orange County, portions of Osceola County as well, right? That's kind of like your next gradient for the 2 to 4 inches of rain. And then west of I-4 into Marion County and the Villages and Lake County and Claremont and portions of Polk County, you're going to have probably 1 to 2 with locally higher amounts as well. And then along our west coast, it's going to be just a lot more scattered. There could still be some decent rain, right? But the widespread opportunity to get heavier rain here is much less. So on average, it's less than an inch of rain, but there will still be a few spots along the west coast that pick up a localized thunderstorm in the next couple of afternoons, and they get a few inches of rain as well. It's just going to not be nearly as probable as along our east coast. So I actually do think the GFS model is really good with this, with the amount of rain and the gradient that it is showing with the clear lines. Again, just heavier moisture along the east coast, spiraling inland, but still some showers along the west coast as well. All right, let's do some city by city forecasts. They look like this. Palm Coast. Clouds, rain, wind, that will continue through Monday. 15 to 25 mile an hour winds at least the next couple of afternoons. Gusts well above 30. Could even see a spot of wind from time to time over 40 miles an hour. 70 to an 80% chance for showers. Locally heavy rain. Coastal issues. The beach erosion. The flood advisories. The potential flood warnings. It's going to be a rough weekend. Still 70% chance on Monday. The wind's coming down a little bit, but still breezy. Still 10 to 20 with some higher gusts. 83 the next couple of days and up to 85 on Monday. For Daytona Beach, I wish it was going to be as blue of a sky as what this picture shows, but it is going to be a gray, overcast weekend. 80% chance for showers the next couple of days. Again, 15 to 25 mile an hour winds, higher gusts than that each and every day. Still breezy on Monday. Fairly overcast. Squalls moving in. Good tropical downpours. All the beach and coastal problems that we've mentioned, 5 to 8 foot breakers, low 80s for daytime highs Saturday, Sunday, 85 on Monday. And again, exceptionally high rain chances and locally heavy rainfall in totality across portions of coastal Volusia County. This forecast would include places like Ormond Beach and Holly Hill and Seabreeze and Wilbur by the Sea and Ponce Inlet, all the way down to New Smyrna. For the Brevard beaches, 70% chance for showers the next couple of days. Showers, very windy conditions. Again, the onshore flow, the coastal, inundation of water with the higher tide cycles, 1 to 2 feet above normal the next couple of afternoons. 70% chance for showers. We'll see a little bit of sunshine late on Monday. Still a shower or two is likely, especially in the early part of the day. Still breezy conditions. Tomorrow the winds will be fresher than 30 miles an hour from time to time, and still, I think, very gusty on Sunday. 83 tomorrow afternoon, 86 Sunday, and 87 on Monday afternoon. Inland for the attractions. Again, it won't be as consistent, but there will still be some brisk moving showers racing across Lake Buena Vista and I-Drive. It's not a washout by any means. If you have plans to be at the attractions, we're going to have the breezy conditions, and from time to time, we're going to have some fast-moving showers. But if I was headed to the attractions, I would just plan accordingly, but certainly not change my plans. So fast-moving showers tomorrow with the breezy east winds, a 60% chance. A little bit better chance for rain overall on Sunday. Maybe not much sunshine at all, but probably a little bit here and there. Again, breezy conditions, 15 to 25 mile an hour winds, locally higher gusts. Then on Monday, as the system pulls away, can't even rule out a couple of rumbles of thunder. We might have enough instability in the atmosphere to get a couple of rumbles of thunder, a few lightning strikes, so an isolated thunderstorm to go along with the showers. And again, temperatures building as the winds turn more out of the south beginning late Sunday and into Monday. We're up to 88 for a daytime high. Certainly the most sun overall we'll see in our area will be along the west coast for the next couple of days. So it's a little bit more typical over an early October pattern there, but there's deeper tropical moisture. So again, when the storms develop, they'll have locally heavy downpours from time to time. 40% chance for storms in the Tampa, St. Pete, Bradenton, Sarasota areas for the weekend ahead. Still breezy conditions over the next couple of days. Then a 50% chance for thunderstorms on Monday, but with more sunshine, we're going to expect it to be a little bit hotter here. It's the upper 80s over the weekend, and again, right around 90 degrees for Monday afternoon. If you guys are just tuning in, I want to go back to this graphic one more time. Impacts expected over the weekend. Localized flooding, especially near the East Coast. There's all kinds of coastal flood advisories and flood warnings that are already in place. Most of those extend all the way until Monday morning. Rainfall, as I just showed you, about averaging 3 to 5 inches along the coast, but locally higher amounts are possible, and an average of 1 to 3 inches inland. Winds east 15 to 25. Higher gusts, well over 30 miles an hour, maybe approaching 40 miles an hour from time to time along our east coast through the weekend. Seas near shore are going to be 8 to 10 feet and then 10 to 12 offshore. So small craft want to remain in port. And it's just not a weekend to be heading out there, guys. It's just not. Along the coast, we're seeing 5 to 8 foot breakers. Moderate beach and dune erosion is likely. Obviously getting out in the water, rip currents are going to be exceptionally high. And then with our high tide cycles, we're likely to get tides 1 to 2 feet above normal. We already talked about, the Weather Service was talking about roadways and some beach areas and some docks being inundated with water. If you live along the coast, you know what 1 to 2 feet above normal tide cycles will do to your area. Going to be very localized, the inundation of water, but that certainly is a possibility up and down the East Coast right on through at least Monday morning. All right, let me get back over to the chat. How's everyone doing? Amy asks, do we have a membership for the channel? I don't have a membership for the channel yet, Amy. That probably is coming. Obviously, the super thanks, the super chat, the super stickers are available for you if you want to find a way to contribute to the channel. There are other ways in the video description below as well, but it's actually something I was meaning to probably fire up, especially now, by the way. I was waiting, but there used to be, if you want to become a member of the channel, and that's the join button, by the way, I have the Media Mundo channel where we do have memberships open. You couldn't become a member from an iOS device, so from an Apple device, but now you can. So that's kind of cool. So now you can become a member. And it looks like they changed this area a little bit, didn't they? Looks like they just came up with an update and drifted it south. So that's interesting. So the answer to your question, Amy, is no, but I'll probably add it, and when I do, I'll let you guys know. Memberships, again, subscribing is always going to be free. Memberships is just a way to support the channel if you want to, you know, with a monthly membership, a couple of bucks a month, and we'll talk more about that if we want to do that. But great question, I appreciate that. For some reason, the radar's not popping up right now. Let me go over to this look. And again, it looks like the Hurricane Center with a 2 o'clock update just kept this area farther south, which again makes sense when we talked about it, right? The fact that it's not moving much. So it looks like they're even picking up on the fact that the models are holding whatever low or mid-level center might be trying to develop, keeping it over the Bahamas. So I think everything that we've just talked about, the Hurricane Center says, you know what, we agree, and we're going to pick up on that. These are the winds, by the way. I just want to get back to that as well. And again, the fast-moving showers across the area too. Chess says, in my yard, the grass barely grows. Yeah, the West Coast has been drier, Chessie. There's no doubt about it. Hi, Charles. How you doing? Expecting some very heavy rain in the northern areas of the Bahamas. Yep, you're right, Charles. I'll be watching that for you guys on the Media Mundo channel. Obviously, some areas had some heavy rain and flooding conditions with Imelda, so they don't really need any more rain at this point in time. Hopefully, they don't get a ton more. Yeah, I think 3 inches is easily possible for you, Blue Goose. Again, you might be a little bit north of the heaviest concentration of rain, but I don't think 3 inches of rain is out of the question at all. Fiona says, can't even like despite restarting the iPad app. That's interesting. I don't know, Fiona. It is like device dependent. I just know that there were some restrictions on iOS devices like iPhones and iPads. And like there was even some, you know, because you couldn't purchase through the App Store. And so Android devices or televisions, I think, were the easiest way to go. All I know is that I got a notification from YouTube that said, hey, by the way, memberships are now back available on iOS devices. So I hope you can. That's for sure. All right. We're by the sea, Mr. Ed's voice. I hear it. I love it. Does anyone have any specific questions about the forecast? Right? Obviously, again, East Coast, rough. We're going to continue to see these showers spiraling in. That's not going to change. Not expecting our low in the Bahamas to really fully develop tropically, but is it going to be a big rainmaker and a big wind pusher into our area? Absolutely. I don't see a lot of appreciable change through at least Sunday afternoon with what we're seeing right now. And just bring on these 10-meter winds as well here. Yeah, everything's going to be an onshore flow. So 15, 25 higher gusts. Daytona had a gust over 30. I mean, look how consistently the winds are right now over Brevard County. You know, that's a really just fresh 20, 25 mile an hour wind. Even in the Orlando area as the showers have passed through. Sanford's had a 25 mile an hour wind. OIA has had a 25 mile an hour wind. It doesn't matter along the West Coast. Crystal River has had a 30 mile an hour wind as the showers have moved through. They're moving very quickly. They're in and out of one area really, really fast. Again, back to Winter Garden. Live look outside there. Again, breezy conditions. You can see the palm tree on the bottom of your screen. But as the showers move through, you get the clearer skies. Winter Park, again, sunshine out there right now. breezes be picking up. Next shower that moves through, skies will get dark in a hurry. This is a camera that, again, from the southeast side of downtown Orlando is looking back towards the east coast. So you can clearly see the moisture developing along the coast, and that will be spiraling inland. And outside of the rain, we get a little bit of blue sky. We get some breezy conditions as well. And I'll keep an eye on the attractions, a little bit of darker cloud coverage, and the opportunity for a couple of quick moving showers over Lake Buena Vista. Again, from this camera, the Magic Kingdom is just 1 mile from this camera, just basically right behind that cluster of trees that you guys see. Yeah, so Charles says in Nassau, massive flooding in low-lying areas, businesses and homes flooded. I had some pictures from Nassau the day after Imelda, and there were folks who were in waist-high water along, local streets, and cars where the water was, inside the compartments. I mean, it had completely flooded out the cars. It's a bad situation there. With some of the rain in the Bahamas. So we just don't want additional heavy rain in that area, although I think that this low has the opportunity, especially if it's not going to move much over the next 48 to 72 hours, to unfortunately bring that. Hopefully, the western side of it's going to be a little bit drier as well. Let me try and reset this real quick, guys. All right, so they're good. The radar's back on. There's a little bit of blip in data in there as well. So, all right. So back to our live radar. And again, even a few lightning strikes down towards Port St. Lucie, but here is some of the brisker showers that are already moving back in. And these are hauling, right? Forward speed, 23 miles an hour, 31 miles an hour, 20, 25 mile an hour winds. So fast moving showers in that forecast. Well, Fiona, I think, again, it's not really a track. It's just where it could develop. But I think the biggest thing is that the Hurricane Center, as we just looked at in the models, it's not moving it very quickly. It's not moving it fast, right? Now, down the road, by the way, we already have an orange area here. This could be a hurricane headed towards the Eastern Caribbean about this time next week as well. But I think it's just the fact that this thing isn't going to be moving much at all. Okay, friends, we have put in some good work today, about 55 minutes worth of time. A couple of things to talk about. Obviously, if you live along the coast, please be very aware of the conditions that are likely to continue with the potential for some coastal flooding, erosion, inundation of water, flooding concerns, all of that with what we've already talked about. Obviously, be monitoring the situation over the weekend. A couple of things I can do. First of all, from time to time, if we start to get some impactful weather, I can always run the radar system live for you guys, right? Even if I'm not on. Maybe it's a combination of things. Maybe I run the radar system. Maybe I jump on live, say hi to you guys. I kind of give you the live update, and then we go back to the radar system. That's the great thing about YouTube and a digital channel is we can do as much coverage as we want to or as low coverage, just depending on what is necessary to cover the situation. But I do expect this to be an impactful weekend. I do expect there to continue to be squalls and gusty conditions and some potential flooding. So if that gets kicked up a notch from time to time over the weekend, look for me to jump on. And if nothing else, potentially look for the radar system, to be active as well. Obviously, the next live show will be Monday at 1 p.m. And we're still going to have some impacts that point in time as well. So, look again to have the notifications on. Again, this is a live only channel, so I'm not going to inundate you with, forecast updates and videos. When you get a notification that I'm on live, there's something impactful happening, and you want to make sure you guys tune in. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, but have those notifications clicked to all. That's the bell icon that you see. And there's a couple of different tiers of notifications, but for this channel specifically, I suggest you guys have that all notifications on so you guys can tune in. All right, friends, I appreciate you guys. Again, thanks for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing. Please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the Lien Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They do cover the entire state, my friends. You get storm damage of any kind, even if you've been in an auto accident. As I say, they're not a one-trick pony. They can help you guys out with a lot of different insurance issues. We never like to think about it, but we want someone who's an advocate on our side when this happens. So check them out, lienonmelaw.com, if you guys would like more information. Appreciate everyone in the chat for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and interacting with me. I appreciate taking part of your Friday and joining me for this. It means a lot to me that you think enough about this channel and myself to spend part of your day keeping up with the weather with me. Have a great rest of your Friday. Again, monitoring the situation over the weekend. Could be on live, could be having the radar system running live. We'll see how it plays out. But if nothing else, I'll see you guys back on Monday. My friends, take care. I'll see you soon.